Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that joined Gel Halverson, the candy bomber, as he flew during the Berlin blockade. Only instead of bombing with candy, it bombed with high explosives. Anyway, today I want to talk to you all about a game that's about courage, fear, and rabbits. I am, of course, speaking about Hares Testing Ground from 1A Games.
Did you know that the deepest in the ocean you can go is approximately 2,500 feet before your head explodes? Did you know that even if you swim a couple feet, there are sharks and piranhas and electric eels that would love for you to eat? Come now children, come and play and listen to the words I say. I do not mean to raise alarm, I just don't want you to come to harm. Did you know?
Hares Testing Ground from 1A Games bills itself as a classic trail game with some modern twists. So essentially, it's a roll and move game. You're going to pick different rabbit characters, and these rabbits exist in this kind of weird post-apocalyptic world where there's all this fallout and monsters and nasty surprises. And you pick this character, and they each have different character boards. These character boards have different skills and different items that potentially these rabbits can upgrade to. Also, you may have some very specific characteristics that may help you in certain situations. Now, up to 4 players pick one of these characters, and they start out at different points on a track. Some of them have a more direct route, some of them have a longer route, but along that longer route there's potential to get good stuff. What you're going to do is roll a dice, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can move up to that many spaces once you've rolled it. If you roll a 6, though, you roll another dice, a research dice. And the research dice has lots of funky things. For instance, you roll one side, you may get an item that you can upgrade, you may get a skill that you can upgrade, or you may get to go on an adventure. More on that later. Now, as you're moving along this track, you're going to land on certain spaces, and some of these spaces will give you certain advantages or may cause some weird things to happen. Again, you may land on spots that let you upgrade your skills or your items, but you may land on spots that require you to draw cards from a deck, and there's 3 different decks in this game. There is the Stronghold card deck, and the Stronghold card deck is generally good things. Things are going to help you out. Things that you can hold in your hand. You can play them when necessary to help you defeat certain challenges or some other kooky things. You may land on the Testing Ground deck, and the Testing Ground is probably going to be something bad. You may get, weird monsters that come after you. There may be certain challenges, certain combat tests you have to go through rolling the dice, and that can be pretty scary. And most of these tests you're going to roll, you're going to use a basic D6, a standard D6 to roll these tests. You may also land on an event deck, and the events are changing. In fact, when you roll the research dice, one of the things it does is it makes you put out a new event. But if you land on the event, then you have to kind of go through what the current event is. And a lot of times those events are, again, quite nasty. Sometimes they just affect one player on the board, sometimes everybody can have something bad happen to them. Now, the goal of the game is to get to the end of the track. The end of the trail, there is a factory, a mysterious factory, and it's got a combat value. You get there, you have to defeat the factory, and that's the goal of the game. Now, along the way, as I say, though, you are also going to have adventures, and that happens, again, you roll the movement dice that comes up as a research, you roll the research dice, and it comes up with an adventure. So I think it's a 1 in 36 chance of rolling an adventure. Now, the adventures are other cards that are specific to the various spots on the board where you are. There's a certain number of regions on the board, and if you're in one of those regions, you roll an adventure, you play the adventure for that specific region. And the adventures, sometimes there's a little bit of choice you can decide to do there. Sometimes there's some other, kind of tests that you have to go through that are bigger and meaner than some of the other tests you'll go through in the game. And there's also potential for great rewards. Now, some of the rewards that you're going to get in this game is you're going to, move ahead a few more spaces. Some of the punishments are you're going to move back several spaces. So, you're constantly moving forward and moving back along the trails as you're all trying to get to the factory. And also critically, if you move onto a space with someone else, you can do a battle and you can actually fight for that specific space. Now, something that's pretty cool about Crosshair's Testing Ground, the creator of the game, the designer of the game, is also the artist. And you can really kind of see a cool integration of the theme and the game because it was by the same person. And that's really cool. You don't see that very often in board games. And the theme itself for Crosshair's Testing Ground is really kind of fun. It's dark, but it's interesting. It has some really fun and interesting artwork. It is permeated with this theme, and that's pretty cool. Now, you have heard me say here on The Discriminating Gamer 100 times that to me, what makes a good game, what makes a game worth playing, is what kinds of options does it give you? Do you have a lot of options in the game? Is it a game where you feel like you're building a strategy, or even in a small way, and the decisions you make are going to get you to victory? Now, there are choices in Crosshair's Testing Ground. You're choosing what skills and items to upgrade. Sometimes the adventures have you make a choice. Sometimes there's even choices in the track. So you are making some choices in Crosshair's Testing Ground. The problem is none of the choices in this game feel significant. This is a game where you are rolling and moving, and things happen to you, and you move forward, you move back, and you can make some of these little choices, but fundamentally you don't really feel like you are the architect of your own strategy. Now, I gotta tell you, I'm a kind of a fan of 1A games. They did the Tide of Iron reboot here a while back, and it was beautiful production. Great rules, the way they streamline stuff. I was a big fan of that, and I was really looking forward to Crosshair's Testing Ground because I know this company has a lot of potential. Production-wise, Crosshair's Testing Ground knocks it out of the park. I think it's a great production. The mechanics aren't there. They're just not there. This is a game that you don't feel like you're playing so much as you feel like it's playing you. I really wanted to like this game because I like the theme. Like I said, the production is so good on it, but the game just, frankly, at the end of that day, isn't that engaging. Now, you could make the argument, well, maybe it's made for younger players. Maybe it's made for 10, 11, 12-year-olds or something like that. And mechanically, I would say, yes, but the theme is kind of dark. There's some blood here and there, and I don't know that that's the most appropriate age range either. I don't know that it isn't. I don't have kids. No one loves me. But I just don't know that it's what I would call a kid-friendly game. There's so much about this game that just is great, production-wise, theme-wise, art-wise, and just mechanically, as I say, it's not there. So it is with great reluctance that the Discriminating Gamer cannot recommend Crosshair's Testing Ground. There may be people out there that get into it and dig it. It kind of feels like a step backwards as mechanics go. Feels like Candyland or Chutes and Ladders with a really awesome theme, but the basic mechanics are more or less the same. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. You know, I once tried to cross some hares, but they called it a comb-over.
Is based on the Song of Ice and Fire the Ice and Fire novels written by George R.R. Martin.